On February 11th, 2021, Netflix released the docuseries Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. A new installment in Netflix's extensive collection of true crime docuseries, documentaries, and docu-shorts, Crime Scene became pretty popular overnight. It invited its viewers to dive into the macabre history of the Cecil Hotel located in downtown LA, including murders, crimes, and just mysterious happenings at the location. However, the show primarily focused on a certain death that happened at the Cecil, that of Elisa Lam. In February 2013, Elisa Lam, a Canadian, had just turned 21 and decided she wanted to explore the world. She wanted to see what was out there, and what better place to start than LA? La La Land itself, city of dreamers and broken dreams alike. Elisa Lam decided that she would be lodging at Stay on Main, a low-price hotel catering to young travelers. In fact, it was a bit more like a hostel. She originally stayed in a room with a couple of other girls before being moved to her own room. Stay on Main Hotel, however, was just an extension of the Cecil Hotel, which the documentary focuses on. And later into her trip, Elisa Lam was reported missing and eventually found dead in one of the hotel's water tanks. The docuseries Crime Scene includes a lot of interviews, particularly those from people such as the manager at the hotel at the time, police officers, internet sleuths, and YouTubers, interestingly. It's set up in a way that invites the audience to kind of formulate their own opinions as they go on, to do some guessing, to decide what they think might have happened to Elisa Lam. By the end of the docuseries, however, it's revealed that there is no evidence and was no evidence whatsoever that Elisa Lam was murdered. Instead, it's revealed that she suffered from bipolar disorder, and a manic episode likely led to a death by accidental drowning. So, as any true crime-addicted teenager might do, I binge-watched this series in about 2 days. And when I got to the end, I didn't know what to think. I'd been really excited when I started Crime Scene because it was attached to names like Ron Howard, who's a director I really admire. I mean, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey, guys. However, by the end of the experience, I felt mildly manipulated, and I wasn't alone here. Currently, the show has a 2.0 audience rating on Google. But a certain word also kept coming to the front of my mind when I thought about it, which was just unethical. Hey everybody, my name is Maya. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Feel free to subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about our true crime obsession and its ethics and implications. True crime is an interesting genre for a multitude of reasons, but the most apparent one is that people derive entertainment from the destruction of real people's lives. Saying it like that makes it sound absolutely atrocious, but I am really interested in true crime, as are many of my friends and random people on the internet. My favorite podcast is Medical Murders. I constantly watch true crime shows on streaming services. I read quite a bit of fiction involving mysteries and murders, which is slightly different from true crime, but I also read a lot of nonfiction involving the genre. Interestingly, according to BBC Radio 4, true crime is a genre particularly targeted toward and enjoyed by women. The article True Crime, 5 Reasons Why Women Love It from the aforementioned radio is pretty interesting and lays out kind of a groundwork for why women might be the central and core audience for true crime. A fear of crime, an interest in puzzling out, a fascination with motives, etc. On March 25th, 1878, Frances Glessner was born in Chicago, Illinois. Typical of many middle and upper-class women at the time, Miss Glessner was discouraged from pursuing an education outside of things like French and was not really encouraged to get a job. She married young and became Mrs. Frances Glessner Lee. As she grew older, however, Frances Glessner Lee became increasingly dissatisfied with the stagnant and mundane nature of her life, and she rapidly became incredibly interested in the field of forensic science, then called legal medicine. This was not just a passing interest for Glessner Lee, though. She's pretty well known for her miniatures. Creating miniatures was a pretty common hobby at the time for upper and middle class women. It provided them with something to do, it was a really intricate pursuit, and now it's considered a form of art. The miniatures of Frances Glessner Lee, though, are not your typical adorable dollhouse. In fact, they've been renamed and rechristened the Nutshells of Death. These dioramas were used and continue to be used as training methods, inviting police officers to look for evidence in unsuspecting places. Today, images of Glessner Lee's nutshells/dollhouses can be found online or in virtual reality experiences. Expect to see, the usual, really detailed soup cans, real newspapers printed to scale, and people dead. The usual. Interestingly, because Glessner Lee's models are still used to this day for police training, the truth of what happened in each nutshell remains a secret to the public. In their novel Savage Appetites, Rachel Monroe explores the story of Frances Glessner Lee and other women whose lives became really intertwined with true crime. However, Monroe's novel is really meant to be an exploration into and an opening for a conversation about why women in particular are so drawn to these stories. According to the research firm Civic Science, about 1/2 of United States adults are interested in the genre of true crime. Interestingly though, this viewership is very heavily skewed towards women, and the streaming service upon which most people find their true crime fix is Netflix, although Amazon is a close second. The question as to why women in particular are so fascinated with true crime is one that I'm super interested in and still do not have the answers to. Even after reading Savage Appetites and watching my fair share of true crime, not even close to an answer. Instead, today I really just hope to start a conversation about the ethics of true crime. I've been really concerned with ethical film and ethical media of late because I'm working on a documentary, which is inherently political because it chronicles this past year, 2020-2021 in American high school. But it's very, very simple, I think, to make unethical documentaries and to make unethical media in general that really exploits people. That's the nature of capitalism. And that's why Crime Scene, the Netflix show we discussed a little earlier in the video, was so interesting to me. Because not only did the show ask its audience and encourage its audience to become sleuths or investigators or detectives in their own right, but it also gave a lot of power to the voices of conspiracy theorists. Additionally, at the end, when it's revealed that Elisa Lam's death was not in fact a murder, but was likely caused in part by her bipolar disorder, it just felt like a slap in the face. In my opinion, I felt like they took this story, this tragedy of a woman who was not able to get the help that she needed or the care that she deserved as a human being and ended up dying because of it. I felt like this show exploited that story for the sake of entertainment. Now, it's very fair to argue that all true crime does this. At the end of the day, it's technically a genre designed for the audiences to get immersed in a horrific story and attempt to solve the mystery, put the puzzle pieces together like it's a game. But then you remember, this is someone's life. This was a real human being, a complex individual with thoughts and feelings and hopes and dreams for the future and nuance. And it's impossible for a documentary designed for entertainment to capture all of that nuance. And I think there's definitely a range in terms of ethics when it comes to true crime. For example, at the beginning, I talked about how one of my very favorite podcasts is called Medical Murders. What I like about Medical Murders is it never really asks the audience to investigate themselves. It never really encourages the idea that you are a detective. It's your opportunity to figure out what's going on here. Instead, Medical Murders, in my opinion, is presented as a historical document, as a retelling of exactly what happened chronologically. Instead of setting up a mystery for the audience to solve, Medical Murders really dives into the psyches and motives, perhaps, of killers. It also helps, I think, that Medical Murders has a doctor who is a part of the show and chimes in with information about mental health and things like that throughout. Whereas in shows such as Crime Scene, discussing the death of Elisa Lam, there is a psychologist or a psychiatrist, I'm afraid I can't remember which one, and the reason I can't remember is she had a solid 5 minutes of screen time in a 6-hour show that really could have been condensed to 30 minutes. Ethics in true crime, I feel, really comes down to, at the end of the day, whose voice you are promoting, what side you are telling, whether you're being subjective or objective, and of course, it can then be argued that all media, film in particular, is propaganda. Does your true crime fix invite you to become Hercule Poirot, or is it educational? Is it investigative? Does it allow you to see loopholes and perhaps systematic issues in systems such as the United States judicial system? Either way, whether true crime is directly exploitative or more subtly so, It's a pretty dark interest, and it's something I have to confront every time I listen to my podcast, or read a book, or watch a Netflix show. I feel much more comfortable reading works by like Agatha Christie, where I am invited to be the detective for a fictional character, because true crime, as I mentioned, is the result of the tragedies of real people. It's their trauma made public, and when it's put that way, it sounds absolutely atrocious, and yet the numbers show that people really enjoy this genre, myself included. An interest in true crime can be very dangerous, and it can also lead to helpful change for the future, such as in the case of Francis Glessner Lee. It's really a balance, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on true crime. Do you think it's ethical? What is your favorite podcast or show? And how should we approach issues and topics like this in media? How can we do it in a way that remains human and empathetic at its core? That is the question. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Hope it starts some sort of mild conversation. Please be kind to one another, to the world, to yourselves. Tough times, you know? But we'll be okay, hopefully. I will see you pretty soon, and until then, stay well.